Good day, my name is Darina Hlachenko and I'm honored to represent The Anatomy of Power by John Kenneth Galbraith. It's a bestseller of the 80s, but it's still current today. So, Max Weber taught and was citated by John Kenneth Galbraith that power is the possibility of imposing one's will upon the behavior of other persons. However, John Kenneth Galbraith, the author of this masterpiece, discussed this topic in what way? He assumes that maybe power consists of political power, military power, the economic power, and the most influential is economic power. However, in his book he explains why each of these points is not so perfectly formed the power as a construct. He proposed three types of power, and the proportion of these powers tells us what type of government is situated in a country. There are condition power, compensatory power, and contingent power. Contingent power, or the power of the weak. We are talking about negative reward as a punishment. In a historical perspective, contingent power was reflected in slavery and this way of understanding the interrelations between the ruler and the ruled. Why we assume as people the contingent power? Because we want to avoid any contact with the aggressor, which is why we obey him or her. But in our society, contingent power is still current. Why? Because it is necessary to understand that the person who commits the harder crime will receive the harder punishment. Let's talk about the ginger cake. It's against the contingent power. It's compensatory power. It's a type of affirmative reward for being obeyed. So you work and you receive your payment. Everything is logical, isn't it? So maybe it's the most understandable type of power which John Kenneth Galbraith proposes us. This type of power is important for the separation of hardworking professionals among the other staff in order to understand who works better. The worker, but in this compensatory power there is a huge drawback, because the worker won't stay at work without extra payment. In historical perspective, as John Kenneth Galbraith explains us, compensatory power is reflected in a free labor and as an encouragement for working person. And there is a relation between the compensation and effort which person gives to his or her job. However, as everything goes in real world, there is a small difference between contingent power of whip and compensatory power of ginger cake. Because in poor nations, free labor exists, but in case if you don't work, you'll die from starvation. And in this case we have compensatory power, but contingent power because of the situation in which people live. Condition power is the most interesting and the most difficult construct proposed by John Kenneth Galbraith, as you may be understood that this book is more theoretical than practical, but I try to explain it. Condition power is formed from different directions, from the interior world of the person and exterior world of the person as well. Max Weber taught that there are relations between ruler and the ruled, and it is assumed in the society and in the culture that it is traditionally correct. However, for the person it is kind of subjective. Let's regard the formal education which was discussed earlier and was very hot point. Its book was popular in the 80s. So there are two types of countries, as communist countries, and for example, John Kenneth Galbraith taught about the United States of America. During the process of formal education, pupils and students received a certain agenda of behavior proposed in their formal education. In the USA, they were the virtues of the free enterprise, and in communist countries, it were the virtues of socialism. And John Kenneth Galbraith taught that it influenced the economic power a lot. And to finish up my presentation, I wanted to citate Bertrand Russell: "Power, along with glory, remains the highest aspiration and the greatest reward of humankind." And some points which I want you to discuss. What type of power is used for the state's regulation, on your opinion, and why? Why the accents in the formal education in communist countries and the United States of America influenced the economic power of the 80s of the 20th century. And the third, my favorite question, is which power among mentioned is associated with the art at the info channel, and why? Thank you so much for being such a warm auditory.
In continuation to the speech, I would like to pay your attention to the sources of power. So, according to the John Kenneth Galbraith, in his book, he defined and characterized 3 types: personality, organization, and property. They are all in close connection with each other, but I would like to consider them separately. So let's start with personality. Personality, as you can see on the slide, is connected with conditioned power. But I would like to put an accent on the subject, who is a powerful personality in itself. So to begin with, the effective personality wins submission by persuasion, by cultivating belief, by exercising leadership. Being a successful speaker means combining such qualities like mental resource, precision, charm, being honesty or just seeming honesty, sense of humor, and solidity. Powerful personality is characterized to have the ability to express his thought in cogent, eloquent, repetitive way. Power occurs not to the individual believes who knows. It goes to the one who often out of obtuseness believes that he knows and who can persuade other people to that belief. As you may all know, applauses are the measure of how influential the person is. The most influential orator usually tells the crowd what people want to hear. And he accommodates his views to the belief and aspiration of the crowd, but also is able to win acceptance for substantial views of his own. And in other words, he is passed to their goals. So another source, I would like to pay attention to the one interesting type of personality named synthetic one. What is it? It is a personality, for example, cabinet members, heads of organizations, public officials. Their powerful images are created by journalists, and such personalities are associated and credited with all merits of the existence of organization. Traits of character, something unique that we can see in them, may be wrong, and as a result being just an illusion of power. I think it's worth mentioning that divorced from organization, the synthetic personality dissolves, and the individual behind it disappears into the innocuous obscurity for which his real personality intended him. The next source of power is property. In past time, the prestige of property was so great that without any compensation, a person who has property have all access to the power. So everything the wealth man said was taken seriously and believed to be the matter of course. However, wealth nowadays no longer gives automatic access to conditioned power. The rich man who now seeks such influence hires a public relations firm to win others to his beliefs. He can also contribute to a politician or political organization to win others to his thoughts. He also can contribute to he can go into politics himself, and his property will work for him in the way not to purchase votes, but to persuade voters. Another source, and the last, is organization. It is one of the most important sources because, as we all know, property and personality have effect only with the help of organization. So the most common examples of organization is government, political party, army, and corporation. They all have their features in the structure. The individual bimodal thinking is also very important because the individual submits to the common purposes of the organization, and from this internal access of power comes the ability of the organization to impose its will externally. So on the one depends another. And I prepared a question for discussion. So first one, what source of power in your opinion is the most influential now and why? Your thoughts, what is more significant in the process of achieving power, property or personality? And the last question, will this book be relevant in 20 years from your point of view? So thank you very much for listening.